Hi cozy friends. Self-care can and should cost you nothing at all. And I don't know about you, but I kind of fell into a self-care fatigue. I don't mean like the actual practical actions of self-care. I mean the kind of like self-care industrial complex that has become of the word self-care. The self-care that's kind of like packaged to us and sold in the form of products nowadays. I don't know, is that just me? The whole like, you need this journal or you need this expensive ass skincare to have like the perfect self-care practice. Admittedly, I have been a victim and even a proponent of this myself, and it's hard not to because I don't know, I feel like for the past however many years, everything that's been thrown at us has been very hard. It's been very hard to deal with the world right now and not kind of buy into this idea that the only way we can feel better about ourselves is spending money on these self-care practices. That makes sense. It makes sense. I think a lot of us kind of falling into that trap is reasonable and understandable. I personally would love to crawl out of it. I'd like to dig my nails into the crevices of this anti-consumption, consumerism, self-care idea, and I would like to crawl out of it and come out on top and look around and say, hey, there's a lot of things here that work for self-care, that are very valuable self-care tools that I don't have to spend any money on, or at least very little money on. So that's what we'll be talking about today, is all the ways that you can engage in self-care without spending any money. Some of them like a tiny bit of just practical money, but most of it is zero cost to you, no cost, free 99 self-care. I'll split it up into these categories and the chapters will be in the video description as well. There'll be activities and hobbies, mind and body, and then your physical space. Let's dive in, let's dive in. Okay, our first category is activities and hobbies. So these are all activities and hobbies that to me actually tangibly provide that self-care for yourself. So like there's tons of activities and hobbies, but these specifically give you that little self-care energy, that self-care vibe. It feels like you're giving back to yourself, you're pouring back into yourself. Number one is coloring. And I love this as a no spend self-care hobby because there are so many free resources out there for coloring. There's endless printable free coloring pages. You can look on like Pinterest, Google. There's a bunch of websites you can check out. Just printable free coloring pages on Google and you will find a ton. I would definitely start with Pinterest though, because they'll have the cutest ones. You can just go from there. You can print for free at the library. You can print at home if you already have a printer. If you are in school, you can use the school printers. Print out those coloring pages and get to coloring, baby. Get to coloring. I love that this is just kind of a free resource that's out there because coloring is always one of those hobbies that I think a lot of therapists suggest, especially if you are somebody who has difficulty finding those like slow moments in the day. Coloring is really great for centering your mind, forcing yourself to kind of slow down. It's almost this moment of mindfulness where you have to focus solely on the page in front of you. You've got to get it done. You've got to fill in those colors. And it's one of those hobbies for me at least where I don't feel this added stress of having to be creative or having to like come up with a new creative idea. The only thing you have to do is pick some colors. The stakes are so low. You're just picking colors, swapping them into the right spot. There's no outside expectations or like crushing weight of artistic pressure. There's none of that. You're just fully in the moment coloring. It's this almost meditative, repetitive task, and it's just so soothing, so calming. One of my favorite hobbies to do because of how little brain power it takes. I feel like I have a lot of hobbies, okay? My whole page is about cozy hobbies, but this is like my default one. This is my one where when I'm really stressed, I have nothing left to give in my brain. My brain is empty. This is always the one that I fall back on because it is so low stakes. It's so low brain energy and it's so calming and soothing. And when you find like a really good coloring page, it's just the best. Like you feel so satisfied with having this finished product. And if you have an iPad, then Happy Color is free. It's this app. You can tap color in different areas of the picture. They have the cutest pictures. I'm a huge food person. I love my like food accessories and my food things. Endless categories, but they have a lot in the food category and that is my jam. Okay, that's my jam. I love that it's free. Sometimes you gotta watch some ads if you're on the free version. Small price to pay. Small tiny price to pay for an amazing app. And it's kind of like this combo of, I've talked about it before on my channel, but it's this combo of paint by number kind of in the coloring that you're doing and hidden picture, because sometimes the little color spaces are so small that you have to like go searching for them. And it's kind of fun. So it's like this added element that kind of gamifies it a little bit. So that's also another free option for coloring if you already have an iPad. And then there are just some free coloring websites. You can just just look up coloring website, coloring game, and you'll find a bunch of free websites just on any browser that you can play on your phone, computer, your laptop, whenever you need just like that quiet moment, that slow moment of self-care. Coloring is the way to go, and it costs no money. The next self-care item is my favorite personal creation, and that is what I like to call a free time basket. It is a play on words. It's free and it's for your free time. So, you know, it's a free time basket. It's literally free, doesn't cost you money, but then it's also for your free time. It's not that clever, I know. The point of a free time basket is just having a little basket. Don't get a new one. You don't need a new basket for this, okay? You could just find a little basket you have around your house. I got this idea because the serotonin boost in my brain that I would get when I would go get myself a little treat after like a hard day. I would like go to Target after a hard day at work or something, and I would just get myself a little treat. I'd be like, I deserve this. I deserve this face mask. I deserve this new game or this new whatever it was, snack, like whatever it was. I definitely leaned on I deserve a little treat as my form of self-care. And we'll talk about how that's totally fine sometimes in moderation later. We'll talk about that later. But like I leaned on this heavily, and that's what made me think of the free time basket, which is essentially the same thing, but instead of going to the store and shopping around, you're shopping around your house. So you get your little basket, you walk around and you go, I have a face mask that is in my collection of sheet masks that I take forever to get through because I keep buying a new one. I'm gonna pull out my little sheet mask that I already have, or my little eye masks that I already have, boop, in the basket. That's getting used today. I need a little snack. I'm gonna go either make a snack or I'm gonna grab a snack from my pantry that I've been neglecting and I've been getting my little treats at the store. Boom, in my basket. I'm gonna grab the book that I wanna read today. Boom, in my basket. The activity, maybe a game I haven't played yet that I've had forever. A coloring book that I haven't cracked open yet. Boom, in the basket. Maybe a perfume that you wanna set the mood with. A candle you wanna set the mood with. Boom, in the basket. Now you have this perfect little shopping basket of things that you got from around your house without spending money, and you kind of have the same serotonin boost as if you went and you got yourself a little treat. You just got yourself a little treat around the house. Same thing, just a little different and free. There's definitely that level of like getting something new and the excitement and all of that, feeling like you're treating yourself and you're caring for yourself by like buying new things. We'll talk about it. That's fine. Sometimes that's fine. But I think it's better to create this habit and this practice of unlearning that a little bit, and at least knowing that on a day-to-day basis, you can feel like you're treating yourself and you can feel like you're giving yourself this moment of self-care by just using the things around you, just appreciating kind of what you have and taking stock of what you have, because often we forget. We look around and we're like, oh shoot, oh my god, I've had these face masks in here forever. I haven't used a single one. You know what I mean? Like we lose track of the things we have around our house. So just look around, look around. It forces you to kind of like take stock and take inventory and make use of what you have. And I love that. So on your next day where you're like, I'm having a self-care day, I had a long day, I'm treating myself, grab your little basket and put everything you need for that self-care day in the basket and you'll be good to go. The next thing is making a new Pinterest board. Ooh! Oh my god, y'all. Making a new Pinterest board makes me feel like a new girl. When I make that new Pinterest board, just know it's not the same me, okay? Next time I leave the house, I don't leave the house, but next time I pop up, okay, on the internet, I don't know, I'm a new girl because I made a new Pinterest board, okay? Say goodbye to old Kennedy. Say hello to Kennedy, who now has a Tuscan country French cottage with a beautiful, cozy cottage room with gingham sheets and frilly frills and lemon bowls just sitting there, okay? You know what I mean? Or on the other end, self-improvement girly. I just made a new Pinterest board called I literally have a Pinterest board called Self-Improvement Girly. And it's where I save like quotes that really move me or just like a picture that really inspires me. Making a new Pinterest board, free 99 and so inspiring, like really can pull you out of a rut that you're in if you're feeling uninspired with like who you want to be, where you want to go in life, even just like who you are, what your aesthetic is, if that is very important to you, like all of these elements of yourself and like how you want to build out who you are. I love Pinterest because there's so many elements of who you are that can be just imagined in just a Pinterest board. I think the algorithm of Pinterest has gotten so much better in that like as soon as you start saving a couple things that like really align with whatever you want in that board, it suggests just like, oh god, the best things. I used to have to dig and dig and dig and dig to find everything that would perfectly fit in this board, and now they just do such a good job of suggesting things that perfectly fit. And many a Pinterest board has pulled me out of kind of this like rut I'm in where I feel a little bit defeated and I feel a little bit like down on myself and like, ah man, you know, I haven't hit my movement goals in a long time. I'm never going to, whatever. If I make a new Pinterest board and I save a bunch of pictures of people moving and grooving and some quotes and whatever, that energy's renewed. I get that verve, that moxie back. You know what I mean? So I truly think that Pinterest is one of those platforms that, yes, every social platform has its downfalls and has its kind of comparisons that can pop up. And even Pinterest can have that effect that Instagram and TikTok can sometimes have, where you're like, oh, I saw this video and now I need to buy all of these things in this video. Sometimes Pinterest can have that effect, but I think it has it way less than other social platforms. So we'll talk about kind of breaking from social platforms later, but I think if you need a break from social platforms, Pinterest is the one to go to. Like if you kind of still need some stimulus, Pinterest is the one to turn to, because you're kind of just intaking inspo and feeling inspired both aesthetically and interpersonally and in self-improvement ways. Just so many different ways you can kind of feel inspired without also then feeling like I need to go consume, you know? So I love Pinterest as a free little tool for getting yourself out of ruts, starting fresh. Next is finding new YouTubers or Twitch streamers to watch. I love my comfort YouTubers and Twitch streamers. They inspire me. They comfort me. On my ideal self-care days, if I could like write out a self-care day, a huge chunk of that is like catching up on my YouTube watch later list or watching my favorite Twitch streamer, putting them on in the background while I do something else. My comfort creators are such a big part of how I wind down. It's just so comforting to have that person that you feel like this kind of, definitely like a parasocial connection, but I think there's like healthy parasocial and then there's like, woo, calm down. I think there's definitely a healthy parasocial connection, and that's when you feel like, I get this person, and this person would probably get me, but like I get this person, I feel seen by this person, I feel accepted in this community. That's so special. I think that's really special, and something that's so beautiful that has come out of the internet is that we can feel seen and heard and welcomed and a part of something by just consuming our favorite creators and doing that while we go on and do other things that make us happy. We can do our own hobbies and activities at home during our self-care periods and take in our favorite content creator. So I love consuming my favorites, but also finding new ones. If you don't have any that you really feel that, if you're like, wow, Kennedy, that sounds so nice, I don't have those comfort creators, just keep looking. Just keep searching, like look in niches that you might not think to look in niches that you might not think exist, and then you're like, I don't know, this is too niche, this is a niche interest of mine, I don't think anybody would share these same interests. Just look on TikTok, look on YouTube, look on Twitch. There's such good communities and such good creators that promote very inspiring and positive things, and it's not always consume, and definitely inspire me to look in other areas for happiness in my life, and I think that's powerful and important. Next is writing. Writing can be scary for some people if you're like, no, I'm not a writer. I always talk about writing because I think it's such a powerful, fun, and like whimsical and just silly, goofy hobby that you can engage in that I feel like people don't talk about often as just like a casual hobby, because often when people are writing, they're writing because they like want to write a book. They want to be a journalist. They want to write professionally. You don't have to do that. You can just write for the silly, goofy fun of it. You can just write because you want to get an idea onto a page, onto your laptop, onto whatever. You can just write a little blurb about nothing, whatever, you know? Writing can look like whatever you want it to look like. It could be writing drafts of tweets that you never post. It could be writing poetry that you think is silly or that you think is powerful. It could be, I don't know, your ideal meet cute. If you've just been like consuming romance novels and you're like, that perfect meet cute I have in my head when I go to sleep at night and I imagine these these scenarios before I sleep. No one's written that perfect meet cute I have in my head. Write it. It's such a fun exercise. It's such a fun hobby. And guess what? It's completely free. The next self-care idea is sketching. This is another one that I think people go, ooh, I have to be an artist. Ooh, I have to know proportions and know how to draw hands. No, you can just sketch away. You can pull up pictures for references. You could literally put a paper over an existing picture and sketch over it, and that's a sketch. If that's how you want to kind of learn how to draw and learn how to get the hang of just like general sketching. But you don't even have to do that. You can just sketch what you see. Don't sketch because you want it to be a good sketch, because you want to be able to show it off, because you want to, you know, impress somebody, because you want to, whatever. Don't sketch because you want it to be an outwardly facing thing. Sketch for the action of sketching. Sketch because it's meditative. Very similar to coloring, but there is this element of you have control over what you're doing and what you're drawing and the things you want to focus on and the line work you want to do, and you have a little bit more control over the meditative flow of the art you're doing. Creativity makes my brain go, stop, stop, I can't do this. So that's why I say sketching and not like painting or da 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 da. I say sketching because you don't have to think about what you want to sketch. You can just look around and sketch something. I think the creativity block and the creativity kind of flags that go up often come when you're trying to make this like beautiful work of art. And you're like, what? I don't know what to make. This is like the self-care day where you're not thinking about becoming a good artist. You're just sketching to sketch. You're sketching to have a slow moment, to take in the world around you, be mindful, to just have a little silly, goofy time. My favorite thing is looking at people's sketches that are just like so silly and goofy. Just like a little apple with a face, a little lobster. You know what I mean? Like, they're just sketching just kind of silly stuff, and I think that's so fun. Doesn't take anything. You could sketch in the margins of your planner that you already have. You can sketch just on your phone, totally for free. You don't have to go to Michael's and buy up the store to sketch. Very simple. Pen, paper, pencil, paper. You're good. The next thing is making a list of your comfort movies or your comfort shows. Then of course you can watch them, but I think making a list is so vital, because the thing that we do when we're like, I want to engage in self-care, I want to have a self-care night, and I want to sit down and I want to watch something. I just want to tune out the world and I want to watch something that's going to make me feel so cozy and so safe and warm. And then you sit down, you get your remote and you go, no. 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 And then you do that for hours and then you don't actually end up watching anything, and then you just go to sleep because you're tired now. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that because we're making a list. Sit down, give yourself like 15 minutes tops. 15 minutes is all it'll take for you to have a full library of your comfort movies and shows to turn to anytime you need that self-care moment. For me, my self-care, my comfort movies, this might expose me a little bit. My self-care movies, one of them is definitely Mamma Mia. Okay, little hairspray, throw a little hairspray in there. Shrek. Twilight series. Hey, lay off me, okay? Some comfort shows for me are like Gilmore Girls is number one for sure. I literally have it on in the background right now. And New Girl, love. I can always throw those on, and it's just like home. You know, it's something, you know, it's not something that you have to like, oh, wait, what's gonna happen? You throw it on, you're comforted. You can even do other things while it's on in the background. You can do other activities that we talk about, and you just chill out. But you do need that list first. You do need that list first, because sometimes the comfort movies and shows wipe from your brain in the moment you need them the most. The list is where it's at. The next self-care idea is at-home karaoke. I feel like a lot of people forget how fun karaoke is. Karaoke is so fun. Our household recently became obsessed again with karaoke. Not even again, just became obsessed with karaoke because we were like, there's a karaoke bar so close. Let's go. And so now we just take all of our like friends that visit, my family that visits, we just go there for funsies because it's so fun. They're like the closed room karaoke, you know, you can just go crazy. Where else can you kind of unleash this crazy energy, this huge performance energy, really live out your pop star dreams or your emotional ballad moments? You know, like, yes, you can do that in the comfort of your bedroom where you're dancing around by yourself, but it's different when you're with your friends and the people you love. You're giving a performance, you know, it's different, and it's so much fun. You don't need to go somewhere to do that, y'all. Any song you want in the world, there's a karaoke version on YouTube. There's a karaoke version on YouTube, and you don't need to get a little karaoke kit with a mic. You don't need that. You don't need that. Throw it up on your TV on YouTube. Grab your nearest, maybe not that, grab your nearest remote control and put on the performance of a lifetime in your living room, in your bedroom, wherever your TV is. Put on the performance of a lifetime. Karaoke at home. It's such a good release. It's such a good like moment to connect with your friends and your loved ones. It's just a really fun memory to create. And if you've had a long day, it's honestly such a good way to burn off steam. Like, it's cathartic as hell. If you need like an outlet, you know, you're a little bit stressed, maybe scream some Paramore. If you're sad about something, throw on some Olivia Rodrigo. You get the point. It's cathartic. Such a good act of self-care. I did say friends and family, but doing a little solo karaoke, there's really nothing like it. I think that's also equally cathartic. Throw it on. Neighbors be damned. Okay, and if you want to sing quietly, you want to do a little Billie Eilish whisper, that's fine too. That'll have the same effect as long as you're giving the performance of a lifetime. I mean like coming up from the concert stage, that kind of performance. That's what I want out of all of you. Okay, that's what I'm expecting. But neighbors be damned, sing your heart out. The next self-care idea is an obvious one, but that's reading. Reading is such a good act of self-care. You're having this solitary moment where you can be quiet quiet and immerse into this world. You might be saying, it's not free though. I have to get a book though. I have to go to the store and buy a book. You don't though. Because you know what? Libraries exist. They do. Shocking, I know. Libraries exist. And they do have the books that you want to read sometimes. Sometimes you gotta wait a little bit. But they do have books you want to read for free. And sometimes library environments are ideal. They're perfect. It's giving 90s, 2000s realness. 90s, 2000s libraries that haven't been updated since. There's nothing like it. You cannot replicate that vibe in a new updated library. You just can't. So if you have one near you, if you have a 90s, 2000s era library, you covet that. You hold that close to your heart and you go there often, okay? Libby is another option for free books. I know there's another app, but Libby's the only one that I've ever used. Libby uses your library card, so yet another reason to take advantage of your library resources around you. Libby uses your library card and then you can get free ebooks, free audiobooks, I think even magazines and stuff. Also check your library's websites because often they'll have electronic resources on their websites for free. But yeah, I'm a huge audiobook girly. I can only do so many physical books because I zoom. I'm zooming around all the time. When I need a little moment of self-care, I do love to turn to an audiobook and I do love to like color an audiobook at the same time. So something like Libby, if you're like, but I don't want to have to go to the library, get a physical book, I get that. I totally get you. Libby does have audiobooks and that is the perfect solution, the perfect free solution. You do have to wait for some of them, similar to like a regular library, you do have to wait in a queue, but a lot of the time they're faster than you would think, especially for some popular books. And if you already have a Spotify subscription, which I'm sure a lot of you do, we now get free like 15 hours. It's either 12 or 15 hours of audiobook listening time. It's so nice. I would definitely plan out strategically your audiobook. So either make sure the audiobook is less than 15 hours or make sure that you can listen to it in less than 15 hours by like if you listen to it on 1.5 speed or 2 times speed, or kind of do it in between the period when your audiobook time renews. So like start it halfway through so that by the time it renews, you have like 15 more hours to go and you can actually finish the book. Because I made the rookie move of starting like a 21-hour book for the first time on Spotify and then like having to wait the next month because I didn't think about it. So don't do that. But it is free with your Spotify subscription. Not completely free, but free with your subscription. And the last part of reading is the little mini street libraries. We have so many of these in LA and I love them. They're so cute. They're just so cute. We also used to have a lot in DC too. If you see a little tiny mini house looking thing on the street, it looks like a mailbox, but it's like a house. And then you walk up to it, you open it up, and there's books inside. And when I first saw them, I was like, oh, someone just keeps their books outside. Someone keeps their books in the doghouse. But actually, it's a like mini library for the neighborhood. So people come, they leave their books there that they want to get rid of, and then you can take a book if you'd like it. It's like leave a penny, take a penny, but with books. Definitely check those out. A lot of the time, the books are kind of duds, but sometimes you find a gem. Sometimes you find a gem. So just check them out, and then also make sure to put some books, if you know you're never going to read it again, put some books in there for the next person looking for some free books. The last hobby and activity self-care idea is gaming, but specifically games that you already have, because I know that we all have those comfort games that we just keep going back to. The cozy games that live in my heart and soul forever and ever and ever, Stardew Valley and The Sims. I can return to Stardew Valley or The Sims at any point and have a blast, have the time of my life. Feel like I am home, feel like I am wrapped in a blanket of comfort and belonging and familiarity. And I don't get that with a lot of games. I don't get that from buying new games and trying them out. I love buying new games and trying them out, but I don't get that feeling of comfort, familiarity, and home and belonging from buying new games and trying them out. This is yet another like, yes, sometimes it feels like I've got to buy something new to treat myself, but sometimes you just need to lean back on the old favorites, the old loyal trusty steeds. Sometimes that's all you need. Similar to the free time basket, just take stock of what you have around you. Sometimes you don't need the new. You don't need newness all the time. Sometimes the newness is the friend we made along the way, and it's really the oldness. Yeah, I stand by that statement. Our next category is mind and body. These are things that you are doing either for your body, like physical body self-care, or things that you do for your mind to make yourself feel better, to better yourself, to improve your emotional state, all of those things. The first one, and I know the people pleasers and introverts are gonna run for the skip button, gonna run for the fast forward, gonna run for the next chapter. Hear me out. The first one is talking to somebody. Oh my God. I know. It's scary. It's terrifying sometimes. But talking to somebody, as much as it hurt past me to say, okay, this like breaks past me to say, it is absolutely essential for having healthy, regulated, emotional processes, I would say. And I don't mean talking to a therapist, although that is very important. It's obviously not free. So that is not going on this list. God, I wish it were different, but I mean talking to a friend, family member, a partner. I was the friend who was always the listener. Literally from baby me till like early 20s, I was the listener. I was the listener friend. I never shared anything going on in my mind, in my life. Nothing. Like, unless it was something super low stakes, like, hey guys, I got a Cheetos for lunch. I didn't share anything about my life. But I always was the first one to provide emotional support for my friends and to be there for my friends and to dig into my friends' emotional states and ask them questions and be curious about them and their emotions and their lives as people. And like some of my long-term friends will joke about how I'll just like pop up with the craziest lore that they just never knew. Things that, you know, happened in my childhood or current things about me or like news that I have. They'll like joke that, oh yeah, like we never know. Maybe she'll be across the country next week and no one will know or whatever. This has always been a thing for me. It's just still part of who I am. And I think that's okay for some things. But when it comes to your emotions and when it comes to things that are really important to actually talk through and get a second set of ears and eyes and brains on, it's really vital to unlearn the things that make us hold everything inside. But also, it's not 100% on us. It's also about finding the people that care enough to pull it out of you and to make you feel safe enough to share those things. And that's really what it took for me. It took getting to a level of closeness with certain friends to where I felt comfortable enough with them to start sharing things just out of my own accord, just feeling that level of safety to be vulnerable and share things, know it will be handled with care and know that they're gonna hold space for those feelings and for those experiences. And then it also took finding friends that genuinely cared and genuinely wanted to know and genuinely asked and checked in about things, because I think there's a lot of people in the world that are totally okay with one-sided friendships and they're okay with kind of taking whatever someone's willing to give and not willing to be proactive about giving back. And I think it's really important to find those friendships where it is reciprocal, not because you have to ask for things, but because both parties want to give and want to pour into the relationship. And I also want to emphasize in this category of talking to somebody that talking to someone you trust is the biggest kind of disclaimer here, because I think some people feel like, man, I really wish that I could talk to this person about this thing, or I should be able to talk to this person about this thing. This person has X role in my life. Everybody else can talk to the person that has this role in their life, so I should be able to talk to this person. But please, please, please trust your gut and know either from experience or just from feeling when someone is actually trustworthy enough to handle your feelings and experiences with care and hold space for you. Because there's nothing worse, and it can take years and years and years for you to try again to share something with someone. If you go to someone who you don't totally trust, but you're like, I just hope that I can share this with somebody, and you finally do. You never share, but then you finally do, and they go like, oh, anyways, oh man. There's nothing worse than that. Or they kind of judge you. You feel judged, and not in the way that's like productive and helpful, and you can tell it's coming from a place of love where they're like, hey bestie, thanks for bringing this to me, like here's what I think about it, and you feel a little bit judged from that, but you know it's coming from the right place. Not in that way. If you feel judged because they are like full on judging you and they're like, wow, what a stupid experience. If any of those things happen, if you come to someone, you pour your heart out to somebody and you don't feel like what you poured out was held with care, that person is not to be trusted with your feelings in the future. And maybe there's potential for change in that relationship, but I think what you need to do is find support systems that feel full of trust and feel full of care and love. And you know wholeheartedly that you can come to that person, pour your heart out, and your feelings and experiences are going to be held and supported with care and love and understanding. And if you're like, wait, what things am I supposed to be talking about with these people? Talk through, you know, if you're having relationship problems. That was like a really big thing for me a couple relationships back, is like I stayed in the relationship for so long because I wasn't talking to anybody about it. I was kind of just like silently here and there reflecting, but there was nobody that I could share my experiences with that could be like, hey bestie, that's a flag. flag. Like, let's talk through that. Like, that's not normal. Definitely things like that, like relationship issues, issues at work, even emotional issues you're having internally. Hey, is this normal? Hey, what are your thoughts on this? Am I in the right? Am I in the wrong? Even just talking about experiences you've had in childhood and kind of like unpacking things with friends. That has helped me so much. And I really only have a select few, like 2 people in my life that I feel comfortable doing that with. But I know anytime that I go there and I like talk through things and I unpack things with them, it's handled with the utmost care. And I've been able to come to so many realizations and like improve and grow in my own journeys by just talking about things with the people in my life. So it's truly vital and absolutely a form of self-care, because you are working through things that you need to work through, getting insight and clarity on things that you need insight and clarity on, that sometimes you're not an objective party, you're not unbiased, and sometimes you need an unbiased objective party to take a look at your situation and either give you advice, give you support, or just give you love, just hear you out. So if you are that closed off friend, I know there's a lot of you, and I know a lot of you are the people pleasers in your life that just want to do for everybody else, and you're like, no, I'm fine. I would challenge you to share your next kind of issue that comes up in your life. Talk through it with somebody. Again, trusted person. I challenge you to do that for your next issue, your next emotional hurdle that you kind of need to work through. And if you're sitting here listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I might be the friend who never holds space for my friend, or at least specific friends. I might be that friend. If you're the friend who can kind of talk endlessly about their life, but might not be willing to sit there and like dig deep with your friend about their issues and the things they're going through, or even just like ask and inquire and be curious about them as a person, reflect a little bit. I would say reflect a little bit on how you can hold space for your friends and how you can be a better support system. And you know, you're not supposed to read people's minds, so you don't have to constantly try and pull from somebody, but at least let them know that you are a safe space for them where they can feel safe to share their feelings with you. So that's talking to somebody. Next is journaling. Journaling has a very similar effect and function as talking to somebody. It's really about working through the things that you need to work through. I love to use my little Day One journal app, but you can use voice memos. That's completely free. You can grab a journal you have around the house. That's free if you love to write out your thoughts. But everybody knows journaling is absolutely necessary for your self-care practice, because if you aren't having those moments of self-reflection here and there, it doesn't have to be every day, but if you don't kind of have the fundamentals of working through something that you're going through, reflecting on something that happened with yourself internally and self-reflecting, it's really difficult to know where you're at and kind of like check in with yourself. If you don't have that kind of process down pat already internally, I think journaling is a great way to build that process and kind of work that muscle of talking to yourself and figuring out how you're feeling, what you need to remedy that feeling, if it's a bad feeling, if it's a good feeling, how do you maintain that feeling? And then it's also just a great way to really unpack things that happen to you and like leave them in the past. You know, like all the good therapists say, like, let your feelings be felt, feel them, and then let them pass. And I think it's absolutely the same with experiences in life, is like really process them, write about them for days and months and years if you have to, but process them internally and then leave it behind you. I also think journaling's great. Like if you had a rough day at work, something bothered you, someone said something rude to you, journal about it. You will be amazed at how easy it is for you to then leave that behind you and like leave that in the day before. That was yesterday. That was earlier today. Now for the rest of the day, it's all about me, baby. It's me time. And I don't have to go to sleep thinking about that because you already processed it. You already went through every single thought you could possibly have about it. It's done. It's done. And in a similar vein, the next self-care tip is affirmations, either written or verbal, completely free, of course, because they're coming from your own mouth, coming from your own lippy lips to your head. Affirmations are fantastic for just giving yourself that little pat on the back, really working on creating positive internal thoughts and positive internal machinations of the mind that really make you navigate the world in a kinder way to yourself and to others. I think when you have a practice of only welcoming in, maybe not only welcoming in, but only validating negative thoughts, it's very natural to accidentally welcome in negative thoughts. It's how you deal with those negative thoughts. Are you then affirming those negative thoughts? Are you validating them as real? Because thoughts are just thoughts, but it's what we do with them that then makes it have an impact on us. So if you have that negative thought, it slips in, oopsies, negative thought slips in, what do you then do with it? Do you go, that's true, actually, she's so right, that's so true, and then do you internalize that? Or do you go, that was silly, that's crazy, I don't know where that came from, and you throw it back out? Because that is the process that you want to eventually have, and the best way to do that is to work on affirmations, either written or verbal. You can say positive things to yourself, you can write out all the positive things you felt about yourself throughout the day. day. And the more and more and more you do that, and the more you feel comfortable internalizing positive thoughts, the more the negative thoughts will stand out to you. And you're gonna be like, oh, that's gross. Oh, I know that's not true because I just talked about that with myself the other day. I just talked about the fact that I'm a good friend. This thought that I'm a bad friend because I asked my friend if it's okay if we cancel because I need to stay home today because I'm having a rough day. That doesn't make me a bad friend. I know I'm a good friend. Throw it out. It's gone. Because we already talked about it. We know we're good friends. That's kind of the function that I think of when affirmations arise in the like self-care discourse. Because I feel like at first when affirmations were talked about, this was like years ago, I was like, yeah, like I get it. Like I get it. You know, it's good to like big up yourself. It's good to be like, yeah, kid, you did a good job. You know, heal that inner child and tell yourself everything is good and you are good. You're good being. It wasn't until I like fully got down positive self-talk that I was like, oh, that was the purpose. Oh, that was the reason we did that. Okay. All right. I understand the assignment after it's completed. Too little, too late, but it's okay. I get it now, and like I understand. And so if you've ever kind of been like, that's kind of affirmations are kind of useless, overrated, whatever. That is 100% the purpose and function in my mind, is to create the practice of positive self-talk. The thing that I still don't understand in kind of like the self-care world is gratitude things. I always talk about this. Like I don't understand the purpose of like daily gratitude. Sorry guys, I don't get it. I don't get it. I know I don't get it. Maybe it's one of those things in the future I'll be like, oh, that was the reason. Now I understand. But I don't get it, you guys. I don't know. I feel like I often look around and I'm like, I'm so grateful. I'm very grateful. Grateful. So the practice of like writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day, I've never understood it. Let me know if it's helped you somehow, and maybe I'll change my mind about it. But I just don't really get it. I don't really get it. I guess it's a way to reframe your day, you know, reframe. Okay, maybe these bad things happen, but I am grateful for these things. But yeah, I don't know. I think the positive self-talk kind of supersedes that in a way. Like once you've kind of mastered positive self-talk, I think that's a little bit less necessary. You kind of already do that naturally, but I don't know. The next self-care tip in the mind and body category is unplugging. Totally free to unplug from social media and absolutely necessary sometimes, and not for the reasons that I think people typically talk about of like screen time and I don't know. I feel like everybody is very capable of setting their own expectations with themselves around screen time and knowing what is too much and what's not enough. That's not really the function of unplugging for me. For me, the function of unplugging, and when unplugging becomes necessary, is when I feel a kind of like negative energy. It's like this alter ego that comes up sometimes, and often it's when I'm already having a bad day, or like I'm on my period, I'm in a bad mood already, I'm just not feeling myself already, and then I get on social media and I just feel this like gross negative alter ego popping up and like just having judgments about everything, or like just more of a judgy feeling, more of a like negative, like I wouldn't do that, or like after the first like 2 to 3 judgy negative thoughts that I have, I go, it's time to unplug. It's time to unplug. Baby girl needs some help. Baby girl needs some self-care. Baby girl needs something, because this and I think that is, if you do have a little bit of trouble finding that balance of like when to stop yourself from hopping on the socials and kind of having those brain off, you know, iPad kids, screen time moments, I think sometimes that's totally fine and that's good. But I think when you are feeling just like this cloud of negativity, I think that's really absolutely a sign to unplug, cancel that screen time, switch gears into something that is gonna promote more of like a positive mindset, or at least maybe just move on to other self-care where you can kind of regulate your emotions a little bit, you know? I think that's the number one sign for when my emotions are not regulated, is when I feel like I'm not in control of my thoughts about things. When I do have those negative thoughts, I'm like, oh my God, where did that come from? That's so mean. And not in like the silly, goofy way where you're like sending things to your friends and you're like, oh, like, oh, I wouldn't do that. Not in that way. I mean truly mean-hearted things, and just things that you wouldn't normally think, you know? Things that you know aren't coming from a place that they normally are. That's when I know my emotions are not regulated. Something's happening and I need to go regulate. I need to unplug. I need to calm down, and I need to get in a better headspace. Whether that's like watching the comfort show, anything else on this list, go unplug, do something else on this list, and then maybe we can come back for some more screen time. But a lot of the time for me, I'm like, oh, that's it for the day. That's it for the day. She needs a break for the rest of the day. Day over. And yes, like I said, sometimes it's like hormonal or whatever, stress related. Still, that doesn't change the fact that it is a sign that you need to go regulate elsewhere, where you aren't kind of stewing in your negativity. Next is mindfulness. This can look like a lot of things. I know for a lot of people, mindfulness is like just actual meditation and like sitting there and centering and turning everything off, turning off the noise, and really trying to be one with your thoughts. For some people, it's like completely emptying their your mind like it is in meditation, where you're like, no thoughts, head empty, and really working on the practice of like no thoughts. And for other people, it's being one with your thoughts. So like letting the thoughts come in and like pass through you for however long that you can do that. For me, a lot of the time, because spicy brain tendencies, like I like to practice mindfulness when I'm doing an activity that facilitates that mindfulness and kind of like sets the stage for that mindfulness to occur. There's some activities that's not possible. Reading? No. Gaming? No. Watching a show? No. The things that is possible, sketching, coloring. So if you're somebody whose like mind races and you kind of like need to do something with your body, it's totally okay to practice mindfulness like when you're working out, when you're doing a hobby or activity that requires something out of your body. For me, that puts me at like such a good state for practicing mindfulness. And I know for a lot of people, they're like, that's not true mindfulness, and true mindfulness is really just being alone with your thoughts. I understand. Maybe someday I'll ascend to a higher, level of zen and be able to do that. Right now, this is the mindfulness that works for me. And that's my main point, is that like whatever form of mindfulness you find works for you, that's fantastic. But I think it's really important to engage in mindfulness, especially for self-care moments, because that's another way to check in with yourself. So just like journaling and talking to someone is a way to check in with yourself, mindfulness moments are absolutely a way to check in with yourself and just be like, what am I feeling? What keeps coming into my mind? Like what thoughts keep coming in? And do I need to process that so that they stop? What am I not thinking of? And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? So many ways that you can check in with yourself, and mindfulness is just a great way. The next self-care idea for body is a bath. And I know this is like it's such an obvious one, just such a simple one, but taking a bath or like an everything shower and not needing new products to do it. You don't need new products. You don't need new products. You have products. It's just the act of taking that bath. It's the act of caring for yourself in that moment and washing yourself, taking off the dirt and grime for the day. Or if it's not about like actual washing, it's about like resetting your body. And it's about like having, again, a moment of mindfulness. The shower thoughts come in the shower for a reason, because you're able to just like be one and be alone with yourself and your thoughts. So another perfect moment for mindfulness. That's always great for the shower. For the bath, I like to have a little entertainment. I like to bring a little book. I like to watch a little show, a little audio book, and just like sit, just soak, just feel at peace. And I think there's some like studies or like biological things about like sitting in warm water. How like when people have insomnia, a lot of people recommend taking a warm bath before bedtime, because it just like puts your body in this state of rest where you just feel like a little baby swaddled baby, and you can just like fall asleep right then and there. There's truly just something so calming and beautiful about taking a little bath. And especially if you like throw in a bath bomb that you already have, you don't need to go grab one, okay? And you don't even need a bath bomb. You can just throw in some oats from your kitchen, okay? Look up like bath soak recipes, and a lot of the time it's stuff from your kitchen. It's like oatmeal and milk and stuff. But you don't even need that. You can just like throw in some body wash that you have from the shower and make it smell a little bit nicer. Light a candle that you have. Just sit in the warm water. Exfoliate your body. Moisturize your body. And just be. Just be. The last one in this category is an at-home mani-pedi. I feel like these days, I sound like a grandpa shaking his fist at the sky. Like, I feel like these days all the kids go and get their nails did and toes did as, treat yourself thing. And that's totally fine. If that's your thing, if you have that in the budget, totally fine. That's great. That's amazing. I have those things myself. It's not specifically nails, but like I have other things that I'm like, this is in the budget. Okay. I gotta do these things for myself. That's fine. But I feel like it's normalized in a way that like it doesn't have to be. We can examine and we can think critically and we can be skeptical about the things that are normalized. And I think that's especially true when it comes to anything that's being kind of sold to us or commodified as like, you need to do this to be pretty. You will be so ugly and you will be a little street urchin troll gremlin if you don't do these things every week. Maintenance. My $200, $300 weekly maintenance routine. No, you don't have to do that. If you have it in the budget, if you like doing that, fine. You don't have to do that. You don't have to feel like you have to meet that standard, okay? Because guess what? You can do it at home. You can do it at home. You can do it at home, and it won't cost a dime. And you'll feel kind of an extra level of satisfaction, I think, out of caring for yourself and doing that for yourself. Extra points if you can get your partner to do it for you. If your partner is the best ever and will like do mani-pedis for you. Actually, not extra points. Just like that's another cool thing. But doing it for yourself is really truly so special. Actually, I think that's more special than your partner doing it, but whatever. Again, another mindful moment. But it's this nice moment of self-care where you can give back to yourself, you can take care of yourself in little ways, and you can customize, and you can like learn new things and learn new tips. And there's so many nail TikTokers. One of my favorites is Michelle Khan. She gives so many like affordable at-home mani-pedi tips, specifically manicure. And I'm so grateful for creators like her that are like, you could save this much money by just doing it yourself. All of that aside, you can 100% do it yourself. Think back to like little you who would just like paint, at least I would just like have a little day each week and like paint my nails and paint my toesies, and like my mom and I would do it together sometimes. It was simple times, man, simple times. It's definitely another one of those things of like, let's take stock and look around us and see what we might not need to spend money on. We have nail polish, we have nail file, we have warm water to put foot in, we have nail clippers, etc, etc, etc. We have those things. Why not do it yourself? Why not have a little moment to treat yourself and feel just nice and renewed at home for free? That's it. That's the end of this category. The last category is physical space. And the first self-care tip in this category is going outside. Some people I think these days call this grounding, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. And that is like truly doing what our bodies are supposed to be doing in this here life, on this floating rock in the universe, is being in nature, because that's what we were meant for, right? Soaking up that vitamin D, even if it's just stepping outside of your front door for a second, looking not directly into the sun, but just like putting your face to the sun for like 10 minutes. Just get that vitamin D in. Or if you want to go the extra mile, if you're really one with the earth, put those feetsies, no shoes, no socks, put those feetsies, boom, right on the earth, right on the ground. If you have some grass, some soil, some dirt, some whatever, hopefully grass so that you don't have to get dirt on your feet, dig those little feetsies in, feel nice and grounded with the earth. Some people that like don't live on earth, like they don't, there's nothing, it's all concrete or covered stuff, they will get like bins of earth to like ground themselves on. It's so interesting. But apparently there's like a actual bodily effect from being in nature and grounding yourself in that way. And I think that's really nice. And I also love that it is free. You just gotta go outside for a little bit. In the same vein as like doing a little walkie walk. But I personally am a walk hater, so I won't talk about that, but that is an option if you don't want to just like go stand and like okay, get your outside in the most efficient way, then you can just go on a walk, okay? But like I said, walk hater extraordinaire over here. So next next is alone time. So removing the others in your life from your physical space, okay? Getting them out of your physical space. And this doesn't mean like you have to be mean about it and you have to whatever. It's just that everybody needs alone time. Everybody needs alone time. Even if you're an extrovert, you do still need alone time. Sometimes other people are simply too much stimuli. It's just too much sometimes. And I think everybody just needs that time alone. And this especially goes for like parents or teachers, anybody who has to work in outward facing, client facing, people facing roles. You need alone time. You need alone time. Maybe that looks like asking the people around you for a little bit of help if you are a parent and you can't have that alone time. If here and there you can ask your support system, like, hey, I need alone time. I need a night to myself. I just need one night. That's okay. And like, don't feel guilty about needing alone time. Everybody needs alone time. Sometimes it's just all too much. It's a lot happening and you just need to be alone. You need to put yourself first sometimes. And that's absolutely okay. It's good. It's a positive thing. You will show up as a better person in your life when you have that alone time. Next is rearranging a room in your home. And this is like such a fun one. I don't really do this much anymore, but I used to do this all the time. My roommate and best friend does this often, and I always love running in. Maya's like, it's time. It's like every 3 months, and I run in and I'm like, okay, what are we doing this time, bestie? This there. It's such a fun way to just like refresh your space, start fresh. If you've been kind of just like sitting in a sad puddle for a month or so, and you're like, I need to break out of this. I need something new. I need new energy. It's just such a good way to reset and not feel like, you know, you're walking into the same room that you kind of had a little episode in. You know what I mean? And it's a great way to reset and refresh for free. You don't have to buy new things to rearrange. You don't have to like, okay, I'm gonna redecorate my entire thing. No, you can rearrange your room and it feels like a totally different room and you don't have to spend a dime on it. Not a dime. In a similar vein too, just like cleaning out your closet, organizing an area of your room, organizing an area of your home, anything where you can just like reset and you're like, this is a new space. I'm a new person. That is the best. And such a good act of self-care because you are gifting yourself a new space. You're gifting yourself a fresh new start. And that's So special. The last self-care tip is cleaning the space around you, because not all self-care is fun. I know some people do love cleaning, but for some people I know cleaning's like, oh girl, come on. But not all self-care is fun. Sometimes the best self-care is the thing that we need the most. Sometimes self-care is doing something kind for yourself even when you don't want to, because you know that the next day you will look around at your clean space and you'll be like, oh, I feel so much better. I feel so much better. I feel like I can start fresh. I feel like I don't feel kind of like gross and cluttered. And sometimes gifting future you that experience is an act of self-care. Often it is an act of self-care, and we don't always have the energy to do that, but when you do feel a little spark of energy to do that, know that it is going to go so far for yourself. You are doing yourself a kindness, taking one for the team. Okay. There's also a lot of psychological studies about the effects of mess and how mess can kind of be a catalyst sometimes for poor mental health and even like worsen it or just prolong it. Mess can make us like angry and frustrated. There was a time in my life before I've healed, mess would like make me upset at other people, and I feel like I would blame it on other people, and then I would like take all of the issues from my day and like put it all into the fact that it was messy, and like it's that person's fault that it's messy, and everything in my day and all of my emotions are going into this frustration about the mess. So imagine like there isn't somebody else in the picture and you're feeling all of that in like this kind of vicious cycle of frustration with yourself. Oh, like that's so sad. You don't deserve that, right? You deserve to approach yourself each day with kindness and patience. And a way that you can do that is by not having mess around you. And it's okay if you do, and it's okay if you need to practice a little bit more patience with yourself and say, hey, it's okay if it's messy today. We can get to it later. It's fine. It's fine. Taking that moment to clean up for yourself is absolutely, literally proven to put yourself in a better mental state and a more positive mental state, and kind of lessen the friction of everything else around you to where you can have a better emotional regulation. It's all about emotional regulation. It's harder to emotionally regulate when you're surrounded by mess and things that are gonna either upset you because it's messy or like upset you because you feel a sense of like guilt and shame around it. Either way, not great. And so it is a good practice to take that moment and clean up however much you can. It doesn't have to be full clean. It can be little increments. It can be like, I'm gonna put on this audiobook and I'm gonna do 5 minutes of cleaning. Whatever you can do, that's amazing. Those are all of our no spend / low spend self-care activities. Please know that self-care can be whatever makes sense for you. If there's a lot of self-care for you that does require spending money, or just like you happen to have to spend a little money for it, that is totally fine. The point of this video is not to say like you should never spend money on self-care. No, absolutely there's a time and place for spending money on self-care. This is just the things to fall back on when you know it's not necessary to spend money on self-care, or you don't want to spend money on self-care, or you feel like you're looking around and there's just no options for self-care that don't cost money. There are, and we've talked about them, and now you have a bunch to lean back on. But it's just all about balance, and like sometimes that little treat is your last straw. That's like the last thing holding you up in life, and you better get yourself that little treat, okay? You better. If that is the thing in your day that is holding you up and propping you up, get you that little treat, okay? I think the practice that we just need to be mindful of as both consumers of social media and consumers in the capitalist marketplace is the moment when we feel from watching something that is self-care related, the moment we feel like, oh, I should buy that, and then I'll feel better, and then I'll have the perfect self-care routine. That's the moment that I think we can all stand to just like pause and say, hold on, do I need that actually? Will I get the same effect by doing something else I've got in my self-care repertoire? It's a practice I've had to learn, and I'm still learning to this day. I'm learning it day to day, okay? I'm not coming from a place of like, yeah guys, I've got it all figured out. I'm still learning. But having these self-care options to lean back on is gonna help so much, and I hope that it helps for you. This is a quote that I feel like is so apt for giving ourselves these little moments of self-care. You are worth the quiet moment. You are worth the deep breath. You are worth the time it takes to slow down, be still, and rest. That's all for today. I love you so much. Stay cozy. Bye.